guys, Lawrence Burchett with Reality's Edge. So today, I think we're going to talk about the Nahanni Valley, and more importantly, we're going to try to draw some comparisons between the Nahanni Valley and Portlock, Alaska. Now, if you've been watching, if you have the streaming service Discovery Plus or have been even on the internet paying any attention, one of the big shows on the Discovery Plus is Alaska Killer Bigfoot, and that took place in, or is taking place in Portlock, Alaska. And I'm going to, like I said, we're going to try to draw some comparisons between the two. Real quick, though, before we do, I think we're going to make a series, a small series, and we'll see where it goes, and we'll end it when it ends. But we're going to do a series, a Bigfoot series. Also, real quick, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, if you like today's video, give me a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. And hit the bell icon. You'll get notifications every time a new video comes out. Now, the Nahanni Valley, also known as the Valley of the Headless Man or Headless Valley, it's located in the southwest corner of the Northwest Territories in Canada. And I said that I was gonna try to draw some comparisons. It's actually only about 904 miles from Portlock, Alaska, as the crow flies. Similar type of terrain, and a lot of similar sightings as far as Bigfoot and a lot of the same creatures that live in the area. Now, part of the reason that the main reason that it gets the name the Valley of the Headless Man or the Headless Valley is in 1905, a couple of brothers by the name of Frank and Willie McLeod, they went up into the area prospecting gold and never returned. When their brother Charlie went looking for them, and a search party went looking for them, they found them in their camp. I mean, they were skeletonized by this point, because it had been a couple of years, I think. And they found them dead, obviously, skeletonized, missing their heads. But those aren't the only two. In 1917, a man by the name of Martin Jorgensen, he went up prospecting. He had sent a letter home, got a letter out to his family, said that they had struck it rich, and then nothing. Later, people went looking for him as well, and similar thing. He was found without his head. He'd lost his head. And according to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, there are a lot of similar deaths reported. Also, just people vanishing strangely. Now, there is a First Nations group that live up there that I'm going to probably mispronounce this, so I apologize now. The Dene people, or Dene people, and it's spelled D-E-N-E. And they settled there about 10,000 years ago. And they spoke of all sorts of strange things. They spoke of hidden tropical gardens in this area. Now, we're in the Northwest Territories of Canada. I can't think there's anything tropical up there. Now, there are a lot of hot springs in the area, so maybe that could give rise to some tropical area. But they spoke of tropical gardens and all sorts of mythical creatures and spirits that live in the area. Now, I'm going to assume some of them are Wendigo and possibly even skinwalkers. Maybe even some of your other mythical beings like little people, or, what people in other areas might call the fairies or fae. But they also spoke of some Sasquatch type creatures, which is kind of why we're talking about this today. Now, it's also said that there were other groups of people that lived in the area uh, that were even more primitive, and rather uh, they were rather aggressive. One of them was the Naha people, and they lived in the mountains, actually up in the mountains, and they would come down every so often and raid, the villages of the more peaceful Dene people. And a lot of the Dene people believe that a lot of the disappearances and strange killings and stuff they have attributed to what we call the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot today. Um, and you can also go throughout all of Canada and see First Nation stories of the of people being abducted by Sasquatch as well. And it's really not that hard to think when you think that Portlock, Alaska, where the Alaskan killer Bigfoot area where that was filmed, when you think that it's only 904 miles from here, it's not that difficult to think that you could have similar goings on. The the terrain, like I said before, the terrain is similar, and there's really no explanation to any of this. Now, the one thing that is kind of neat is that the Denai people, they have one set of beings that is called the Bush Indians. They're hairy wild men of the tundra, and they're very aggressive. Now they live in a tribal setting, and I guess anybody that comes into the area that don't belong or they don't want there, they'll attack them and kill them. Also, you had the Naha people that I spoke of also, that, come down out of the mountains and raided the villages and stuff. They also had one called the Nakani. It was a large, hairy man that was thought to live in the numerous limestone caverns and caves in the area. He would supposedly come down at night, and if somebody was in the valley that didn't belong, he would abduct them. And he was known to, well, I say there was more than one, I'm assuming, but they would kidnap people that come in, and then they would rip their heads off and devour their victims. Now, that sounds similar to me to the Alaskan killer Bigfoot, Nantinaq. People come into the area, they didn't belong, and people, he attacked them, or they attacked them because they didn't belong. And that is a lot of the reason to which not many people visit that area. And there are just parts of the area that are off limits to visitors as well. Places that the indigenous people, that are sacred to them. And a lot of them with the hot springs, we spoke about some hot springs. The indigenous people still, to this day, they leave offerings at the hot springs. There was also supposed to be a giant that lived there. And this giant, he would capture people, and then he would take them back to the hot springs, and he would cook them in the hot springs. And there's one tradition that says that if the springs are full, or if the level's really high in them, that it's an ominous sight. I guess it means that, you know, the giant is cooking him somebody. Now, today's video is a little bit shorter than the last few. Just not really a lot of information about it, but I did want to talk about it because I think it sounds a lot like the Portlock, Alaska story with the Alaskan killer Bigfoot. Leave me some comments, guys. Tell me what you think. If you have heard any more about the Nahanni Valley or the Valley of the Headless People or Headless Man or the Headless Valley, you know, let me know what you've heard, what you've read. Like I said, there's not a lot out there, and from the sounds of it, not a lot of people want to talk about it that do know anything about it. Like I mentioned at the beginning also, I think we're going to do a series here with the Bigfoot just because, man, I love Bigfoot. And there is so much Bigfoot around just the western U.S., not to mention everywhere. There's a lot of Bigfoot everywhere. So tell me what you think, guys. Like I said, this is a little bit shorter video, and but we'll get some more information, get moving, you know, deeper into the subject. Once again, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe, ring the bell, and get notified when a new video comes out. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, or anybody else you think might enjoy this. And also, guys, love yourselves, love each other. Peace out.